What's good, wagering world? It's your boy Five Star in Vegas, broadcasting live as always from beautiful Summerlin, Nevada. This is the wagering world, and I'm in here with my co-host, the OG of the show. He's been with me since day one, the only Sacramento Kings fan that I know. You're probably going to stay that way with the way that your front office moves. Spread us there. How you doing today, man?
Yeah, we don't got no worldwide West here. We got Scott Perry, the Knicks front office reject. Read today they're desperately trying to trade back into the first round. We could have got a bunch of first round picks for our all-star point guard, but
Yeah,
instead we got Zach. I don't even want to guess. Five star, how you doing today?
I'm great, man. I'm great. Really good weekend of sports, man. Let's not take too long. Let's get right into the past.
All right, sounds good. Let's go. Let's start with Saturday's match, and Sunday's match was great, and Sunday's match was awesome, and of course we enjoyed it so much. But I feel like it kind of overshadowed how fun that women's match was, and what a great win that was for Coco.
Yeah,
We bet Coco before the game. I had a great jump in. I jumped back in at 4-1 down. I
yeah,
said, this is women's tennis. I got plus 400 on that. This is women's tennis. 4-1 isn't nothing. Like,
right,
15-point lead in the NBA nowadays. It's nothing. It's easily insurmountable. So I was
right.
so happy that Coco was able to get the win. I'm so happy that the American press is giving her the credit that she deserves. And hey, I got to ask you, you know what? No, I'll let you break this down, and then I'm going to go ahead and ask you my question about Sabalenka, because I was not happy with
Yeah,
that press conference. Raising my blood pressure, it was so salty.
yeah. It was super salty, man. Let's talk about the match first, and then we'll get off into the
Yeah.
controversy. When I saw the roof was open, spread. You remember I tweeted, I was like, the roof's open. That was like so big, it made me go max on it. I already had about a 5 unit bet on it, but man, when I saw that roof was open, because I know that mentally Coco was going to be able to figure it out and deal with weather more than Sabalenka. She was praying for bad weather and that the roof would have been closed, and if it would have been closed, she may have very well had won the match and blown Coco out the court with her power. She really wanted that French Open. That's why she was so bitter after. But with the natural conditions that is all what makes Roland Garros what it is. She had no chance, man. Coco really dominated the match, man. She was up 4-2 in the tie break on the net change, and then kind of just had a lapse and ended up giving away the first set. But she came right back, broke the first game in the second set, and she actually converted 9 of 21 break opportunities. Not too many WTA players are going to threaten Sabalenka serve like she did, and I know the Sabs is saying that she committed a lot of errors, and her fans are saying that. But Coco tends to do this every time she plays big hitters like Sabalenka. That's why she has a winning record against Sabalenka. She's 6-5, and she's beat her in the most two important matches that they played against each other, and that's the U.S. Open 2 years ago to get her first major, and now in the French Open to get her second major. Coco was 52% on Sabalenka's first serve points. Now that's amazing. You know that Sabs is probably the best server on the whole circuit, and she had a really hard time dealing with Coco, as I said, like she always does, because Coco can't absorb her power with her defense. Um, we can get to the comments now. It was a really thrilling morning for us in our household. As you know, my kids love Coco, my baby girl. Got her loving tennis early so that it could be second nature to her. She'll be swinging the racket with a coach next year at 3. Well, the end of this year, she'll be 3 actually in November. So I think I'm going to start her up in this following spring. But her and Dean, my 5-year-old, who's saying he wants to play tennis, and I don't know if I want to let him play tennis because I have a theory about black dudes playing tennis and why we're not successful at it. So I don't know if I'm going to let him do that. He might use his speed and athleticism for another sport, but he does want to go out there and play, and it's cool if I teach him the sport and he learns how to play a little bit. But for sure, my daughter's playing. But all you heard from both of them in the house was Coco, Coco, Coco did it, Coco, Coco. That's all you heard. So it was a really great morning for America, man. And once again, Coco Golf carries the flag. Now let's get to those comments. I'll let you go first.
Let me jump in real quick. I want to say one thing about the errors, and people will get mad. I know we have some friends that don't like when we rely on our own experience.
Yeah.
But from my experience as a tennis player, when you bang the ball and you get about 100% in it, and it's usually a winner 99% of the time, and it comes back, first it's a little frustrating. After a while, it's downright demoralizing.
Yep.
Because you don't know what to do. This is a winner. You swing and you walk back to the middle and you get ready for the next point. When it keeps coming back, at first it's a little frustrating, but it can get really demoralizing. So when you're talking about these great defensive players, and one that came before her, they're reminding me of this a lot, with Simona Halep, who would do the same thing with her court quickness and just hit the ball back, hit Wozniacki, right? It gets really frustrating. So I know that you feel like the match was on your racket, but at the same time, you got to give Coco credit. So what did you think, man? You're out here calling my girl Iga a psychopath, and I was not happy with Sabalenka's post-game press conference. I did not think that was very sportsmanlike. What did you think?
Just to piggyback on what you said about the defense, former pro Andrea Petrovic also kind of called people out with the same thing you said about it's the defense. Like, she's like, I played Coco, and the most frustrating thing is she gets back your winners, and she said no one's as quick on short balls as her. When she gets a short ball, she's on it so quick. So that's one thing, just what you're saying about the variety and the defense and the court coverage that Coco brings that's really underestimated. It sounded real salty. As you said, so salty it could raise your blood pressure. It also sounded like she wasn't taking any accountability. And the thing that really troubled me the most, I never saw this side of Sav. It kind of reminded me of Sharapova and Serena, like almost I think I'm better than you. Like, you don't deserve this type of mentality. That the way that she said it, the air was really, dislikable, man. It turned me off. And you know how much I love Sabs. I was rooting for Sabs and saying she was good in 22, 21 when people were saying that, oh man, this girl is a psycho. And she stopped having a psych doctor and said she became her own psychologist in like 23, and she did really well, won Australian. And I thought she had turned the corner, but Coco frustrated her so much, with getting the balls back and just pretty much taking it to her in a title that she wants so bad. She knows she may not ever get an opportunity again, because we know that's not a preferred surface. It's way too slow for her. Now, if it was in Madrid, if that's where the major was every year, she'd be undefeated. But with that, it's a grueling grind, I should say, at the French Open. So she's not really cut for that with the type of game that she has. And I know that it was emotional at first, but I mean, she had plenty time to get herself together, Spread. Like, when she was going crazy on the court, I hadn't seen her do that in years. And she was throwing her little fits and things like that. I thought, like, okay, she's just upset with, the elements and how she can't control her balls right now, and she can't pass Coco. I thought that when she took the stage, she'll kind of get it together. She did. The very first thing she said was, in these conditions. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, Coco had to play in the same conditions on the other side of the net. And the great Chris Evert said something about that. She was like, to be a champion and a number one player, you think you know how to play in wind and with those elements. It's part of tennis. Like, don't use that as a cop-out arena. And that's true, man. And it just really hurt my feelings, man. I looked at Sabalenka a whole different way. I thought that she was like a really likable person who just liked everyone on tour, but I just saw some innate bias things, and then it kind of reminded me, oh, she's from Eastern Europe. I forget about that, and now I'm like,
and I still like her. I still think she's a likable person. People are allowed to make mistakes. I just wanted to call her out for her mistake.
But going out like Eagle would have beat her today. And
you know what that said to me? You know what it said to me? That when she won that semifinal match, she thought she won the tournament.
She thought she won the tournament. Kind of like when we talked
about. She thought she already won the tournament.
The Knicks and the Pacers, remember?
And that's what kind of pissed me off, because I'm like, how are you not respecting Coco like that? I can understand maybe if you were going against, Eli or, some 120th ranked person in the world.
No one respects Coco, Spread. That's
I don't understand
why. You and I have been carrying the flag for Coco for how long? Do you remember?
Yeah,
when we first met maybe 7 years ago, I'd say, when Coco was 14 and upset Venus at Wimbledon. Do you remember we all had a chat, all us tennis bettors? It was like me, you, and Noops and some more guys that were international. One guy in Canada, remember? And remember how me and the guy from Canada were going, I'm not going to say his name, we were going back and forth really hard, man, in the group chat, because he was talking so bad about Coco. Man, I think that, was Pavi in that group too?
No.
Pavi doesn't like Coco either. He's another hater that's just trying to find an
He
excuse.
wasn't in that. I know he was. I know that there's people that
What
would not let
makes
me listen to me.
Coco game different than Mira Andreeva? And they love Mira Andreeva.
Yeah.
Mira Andreeva is just a lower form of Coco. She plays like Coco, but just doesn't have the talent Coco has, if we're going to just be honest, or the maturity that Coco has. That's why in the French Open, when she faced Boyson and she should have blew off the court, she diminished and went, kind of lost herself, worried about the crowd, and Coco went out there straight to work and just blew out the court. Because Coco has a stronger mentality than most of these players, and she's just touching. She's just, see, you can't teach mentality. That's what I try to get people to understand. The great thing about tennis is it's only maybe 40% skills and athleticism. It's 60% mental. And Coco's mental is so stronger than most of these girls on tour, kind of like Serena was. She's going to dominate. But now she's adding more and more to her game. But people forget, and Sabalenka is really wrong for being 27 and treating a 21-year-old like this. Like, you're supposed to be the mature one in this situation. You're one of the older women on tour, man. These girls are young, but Coco's only 21 spread. And as soon as she gets that forehand figured out, and we've already seen that she can hit with all of the power girls. We've seen that she can serve at a really high speed, and Raiden has a pretty good kick serve. As she adds weapons, they're going to really be ticked off, because I see her dominating the tour, man, at 24. I think she has a real chance of winning the Grand Slam, because the most difficult surface to play on is clay. And I feel like unless Iga can get back to her, normal, I don't see anyone beating her in the French Open. She'll probably get pressed by Mira Andreeva later, maybe Paulini, but Paulini's getting long in the tooth. She's 28.
No, not Paolini. It's going to be someone young like Andreeva, yes. Because look at the jump that Coco made from, what's Andreeva now, 17?
17.
No, from 17 to now. I mean, Andreeva's probably going to go through the same things, and there's probably a couple other younger players, and I have to go ask my buddy Vinny, who knows all the up-and-coming European players that are going to come up. I think they're going to provide more of a pro than anyone that's currently on tour. Obviously, Sabalenka and Swiatek can continue, and we know there's certain players like my favorite Ostapenko who could red line and beat her just at random.
She could. Coco's playing,
and there's a couple other red liners, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, for the most part, this is a great win for Coco, and I'm really curious to see how she does at Wimbledon. So, and we'll be looking ahead to that. I'm actually going to be writing up some.
I have to do some research. I was very confident that one day she would win the French Open, because how good she competed at 13 years old and won the French Open against, girls who are 18 years old when she was like 14 or whatever, right? So yeah. I don't know how she's played in Wimbledon. I don't know if she won as a junior, because to me that means a lot, and we're going to preview Wimbledon coming up. I think your girl Maddie gets another one. It's going to be either Maddie or another one to keep their eyes on, who has the game for it, but for some reason she hasn't been good on grass. And that's Anisimova, man. Anisimova is right on the cusp of getting one in there. I think she's going to do like Vandrosova and sneak one title in there. I think she'll win a major before she's out the game. Spread had to run real quick.
My cat need to come in, and she was going to sit there by the door and meow. I don't want
knocking and stuff. He's knocking on the door.
Yeah. And speaking of my favorite player, that cat is named after Jelena Ostapenko. So there we have it on the women's side. But you and I were both excited. And it's great to see a prediction come true. And then we got to do it all over again the very next day.
Yeah.
With our player falling behind early. I was a little worried. I'll be honest, 5-star, after set 2, I went out and started working in my yard. Checking my phone.
You stopped watching the match?
I came back in around set 4. I thought when he lost set 2, it was over. So I missed set 3, and then set 4 in that tiebreak. I got to watch this. So but what a great win for Carlos. And we had talked about it before. It's not that Sinner's not on his level or anything, but just Carlos's form was better. That wasn't the best version of center that we saw. And then, boy, that's kind of rough there when you're not getting 5 sets, especially coming off those allegations, right? Because he's never done well in a long match, and that's when I knew we were live. I said, we just got to get this 4th set, and we got it home. And that was the way it goes. So once again, I'm not one of these guys, and I know how the social media loves to do it. It's just dunk on the loser. I'm here to celebrate the winner, and Sinner's going to have plenty of opportunities in the future. He was this close. Really, how is he going to respond to this devastating loss? He looked devastated afterwards, and why not, right? That 40 love. But what a great win for Carlos Alcaraz, and really seems to be emerging as the top star on the men's side currently.
He's the most popular tennis player in the world, and I'd say Coco is right behind him. So I think that was just a dream scenario for TNT in the French Open, right? I mean, their first year governor, they just knocked it out the box, not only with the great analysis by Andre Agassi. Who brings out Andre Agassi? He's one of those guys like Kobe, rest in peace, who rarely came out, but when he comes out and he says something about tennis, you listen, because he knows his stuff, man, and he had to beat people by using his brains, man, and he gave some really great breakdowns on these matches. Jim Curry is always solid as well. He did a really good job too. Carlos is just the most popular player in the world, and we both have said a million times before, if you getting Carlos at 10 and you're getting Sinner at 10, you're going to always take Carlos. Before the tournament started, when we talked about it, I liked Sinner. I was like, man, I think Sinner might can get it done because Carlos dominated him so bad at Rome, he'll be really motivated. Then I saw the match against Djokovic, where I thought Djokovic really should have won the match. He just didn't take advantage of the opportunities. And I saw some cracks and chinks in his armor. And I said, okay, Sinner can be gotten. And I think that the way he's playing, if Carlos can get it to 5, it's over. That morning, I decided to not only give it out on the show, we gave it out that Friday, but I decided to give it out as a free play on X. I gave out Carlos to win at even money, -110 in some books. But the special bet was Carlos to lose the first set, win the match at +525, unloaded on that one. Was able to take care of the mortgage with that one. So we really appreciate you, Carlitos, for coming through for us on that one with the losing the first set and winning the match. I hate that you left and didn't watch it because it had so much suspense. Your nerves and your pulse would have been racing because Alcaraz lost that match so many times and Sinner blew it so many times. It was ridiculous. But I'm not going to even say Sinner blew it because he showed some fight several times in this match. I remember in the 3rd set that you're talking about when it seemed like it was over because Alcaraz got broken on game 1, set 3. And I'm tweeting like, man, it might not just be Carlitos' day. He comes right back and breaks Sinner on his serve in game 2. Then gets him again, I want to say game 4. But he's serving out in set 3 to stay in the match. And guess what happens? Sinner steps up his game in game 10 and breaks him. And game 9 and breaks him. Game 10, though, after they do the walk around, bam, Carlos comes right back, breaks Sinner. We get to a 4th set. The 4th set, Alcaraz came out on fire, did his thing, but then at the end, Sinner once again claps back. He breaks him when he's serving for the set, and we end up getting a tiebreaker in that one. Carlos ended up kind of dominating that tiebreaker. Get to the 5th set, it looks like Sinner's finished, man. He lost the first game, got broken, stumbled all over the net, and almost fell down. And I'm like, oh, he might retire. I'm texting my guys in the group like, man, are you offering a cash out right now? Because I don't know if Sinner's going to make it through this match. Man, he went and put a concoction together, spread on that in his seat after he drunk it. When it kicked in about 3 games later, he became a Terminator. He was back to himself, and he showed a lot of fight, man, and ends up breaking Carlos as Carlos was serving for the championship. And once again, we get a tiebreaker. But when we got to the tiebreaker, you could tell Sinner gave all that he could give on that last break that he, got on Carlos to keep him from serving out the match. And he gets to a quick lead. I thought Carlos was going to 10-0 him, but he ends up winning, I think, 10-2. No match for him. And Sinner gave it his all, man. But we've always talked about on this show, he'll never be physically capable of being the guy that he wants to be. Whereas in Carlos is built like a defensive back, man. He's built for this. He has the body to endure on this tour. kind of like how Nadal, he reminds me, his body's a lot like Nadal, even though they play differently. His body's a lot like Nadal. Really an explosive kid, just a great, great talent, and we're blessed to see his whole career from his infancy, just like Coco. Both of them hit the tour as well as Center. They all hit the tour, in their teens as young preteens, and they're all living up to the billing that everyone thought that they would be. They're actually doing the LeBron. They came in with the hype and they're living up to it. So kudos to Center. He's a hell of a champion. Probably a lot easier losing this match with him dominating the Australian Open, winning back-to-back, and having the U.S. Open in his pocket. So it's not like he was searching for his first major, but he just ran into the one and only Carlitos, man. He's special.
Yeah, that was definitely a great match, and I didn't see most of it. I saw about three of the 5 sets, so
okay.
I did get to see the exciting ending. But no, I had given up. I thought Sinner was going to get it done. All
Never
right,
give up on Carlos.
Man, I was pretty discouraged after that second set tiebreak. Let's talk about the NBA Finals 5-star. Man, I got to hand it to you, dude. I didn't think this was going to be very much fun. I didn't think I'd be looking forward to tonight's game.
Yeah.
Instead, it's must-see TV, in my opinion. I know other people don't think that way because, ESPN's running stories about Luka Doncic's leadership in Los Angeles
today. It's not New York or L.A., It's not Chicago.
Yeah, they can't talk about it. Yeah. People don't even care about Chicago anymore, it feels like. What have you seen so far? And I'll tell you what, I got to get away from my numbers because I was thinking about this today. What have we seen on the court? Like, besides my net rating and all these stats I can throw out, what have we seen on the court that leads us to believe that Oklahoma City is this better team? Let's throw out our brain. Let's erase the 68 wins for Oklahoma City. Let's erase the record-setting margin of victory that they made. Let's just go off what we've seen in this series. Like, I'm at a loss. I mean, Siakam has clearly been the third best player on the floor, maybe even second. And, if that's going to be the case and Jalen Williams and Chet can't keep up, this is a tough one for me tonight. I keep going back and forth on it. Originally, I thought I was going to go OKC first half because usually a team that's down in the zigzag, that's the way you go. But Oklahoma City's not been good in the first half. Yeah. And Indiana's been awesome in the first half. So I don't even know what to do with this game. Right now, if you pin me down and force me to bet it, I'm going to take Pacers first half and Pacers full game. But I don't love it. I feel like I'm being too recency biased and throwing out these results. How are you approaching this one?
Well, people always say on X, do you know ball and ball? Well, I pride myself on knowing ball, and that's why I don't get into, how I handicap games, Red. I never get off into numbers. I look at them a little bit just to see different little things they do, but I don't make that a part of the reason why I do something. The reason why I told you guys that I was taking the Pacers, and if you were on the show a couple of weeks ago when we gave out the Pacers plus 2.5 games, and I took the Pacers plus 500, is because when we talked it out, I told you guys, don't think about what the media is talking about. Don't think about what OKC did in the regular season. They're still young guys. This is their first time on the big stage. We saw LeBron freeze up on the big stage, for the first time. So what do you think these kids are going to do with less talent? If you look at OKC, they still might very much well win the championship. But at the end of the day, I still see them as a regular season team. They did well in the playoffs, but overall, I think that this is a team that just a cardio team. They played great defense. As we said, their coach came up with a great theory that, hey, if we play defense real hands and foul, guess what? We're not going to get called on every play. So they're able to play aggressively on defense, and they're very smart. They cover all of their, places that they're supposed to be on defense. Great help defense. Just a really good team. A lot of blocks. They play good, but they're not so special that the way that the media and a lot of these handicappers were trying to make it, or NBA experts were trying to say that, oh, they're going to beat, it's not even going to be a series. Why the hell would you think that? What would make you think that when we're dealing with Rick Carlisle? I've said over and over and over again, Carlisle has already been to the finals and been successful, and he beat a team as the underdog with Dallas that was a lot more talented and better equipped to beat them, and really a true favorite when they upset the Heat in the final. So I don't understand why people thought that this Pacers team had no chance. This is basketball, man. It's a sport. And then when you look at the rosters, who has the veterans? Who has the one champion in this game? Okay, you got what's the kid's name from Houston that played for the Lakers this over with OKC? The white kid with the bald head. What's my guy's name? Caruso. Caruso has a title.
That's a little different than being the number 2, though, right?
Exactly.
We talked about that. I did an NBA rundown earlier, and I said, yeah, he's got experience, but number 1, that was the bubble.
Yes.
So there's no fans.
He's you don't know how many off the bench.
Want to get into this whole debate, right? But you already know where I stand on whether or not that was the same level of competition, right? I'm not Mr. That was pure basketball. Half those guys didn't want to be there.
I don't count that bull crap at all. But anyway, he did have a ring from that, the Mickey Mouse ring. But he
didn't go against hostile environments, right? You didn't have to travel. It was it's like being at basketball camp, summer camp. Like you just sleep in your dorm room, get up and go play a game. It's not the same as traveling to Indiana, all the extra media,
Pascal Siakam going to Golden State being the best player on the court at times in Oakland against a dynasty. So I just think that people overlook a lot of things when it comes to sports betting. And the thing that I pride myself on is knowing ball. I can look at games and I can kind of forecast the matchups, the coaching matchups, and also how the coaches will counterattack each other from the moves that the other coach makes. And I knew that Carlisle is not going to sit there like a lot of coaches did against OKC and just let them get comfortable and do what they want to do defensively. He's going to come up with some ways to get them some issues. Nembhard has been such a good player defensively on SGA, and it's funny, you got 3 Canadian kids in there. They say that's the Vince Carter effect. Big game by Ben Mathurin in game 3. And then, of course, you got the MVP, SGA, and then Nembhard playing some solid defense and just doing whatever it takes to win for Indiana, man. And I just really like everything that the Pacers are exhibiting right now that's showing that you can win basketball with playing team ball. And that's why I'm stressing to my Rockets to stay together, keep playing team ball, because this is where the game is going. The super teams, the superstars, and all that stuff is going to fade away. It's back to when the Spurs and the Pistons were winning championships. So I just really don't understand why they were such a big favorite, but I'm glad that I was one of the few people who believed that the Pacers could win. I've already made a profit because I had the plus 2.5, and now I'm just sitting back with the plus 500 in pocket. I was telling Ski today, I don't even think I'm going to bet tonight for what? I got the best hand. I'm going to just sit on plus 500 and see what happens, because if I get 3-1, I can go heads just a little bit maybe on the Thunder. But end of the day, man, it's all in the red for me, right? Excuse me, in the black for me right now. So I just like everything I've seen. Another thing that we got to pay attention to, Miles Turner. I've spoken more highly about the Texas guy than most people have. They don't really take him serious, I guess, because he plays with Star Wars and Lego and all this stuff. But he's a 7-foot, versatile, big, strong kid that can play, and he has dominated his matchup with Chet Holmgren. He reminded you that Chet
Does that say more about Chet, though? I mean, what is he? He's a third-year player. He's a great.
But everyone said that. They got SGA. They got Chet. That was the second name after when they're saying why OKC was for sure a lock. That's why Jay-Z lost $1 million. He should have been tuning into the wagering world. He should have gave us a check and he'll never lose a bet instead of going to take $1 million down there saying that OKC is going to win in 5 games. There's nothing in the world would have ever made me bet on kids. Those are kids at OKC, man. They're slightly younger than the Rockets. You got SGA, who's 27 or so, but the framework of that team is still mostly youth, and this is still bright lights in their first time on that stage. So, Jay-Z, if you want to make a sound bet, tune into the Wager World. Contact 5-Star in Vegas, and I'll consult you and make you win some real money, man.
All right. And speaking of Ski, he's not too happy with us right now. Did you see the chat? For those who are only listening, Ski wrote in the chat, why didn't the Rockets or the Kings win if nobody cared?
Yeah,
And
that's right. I agree with him. That's exactly right.
he says, worry about the Kings. And this is what I hate about dealing with Lakers fans. Because, yes, I root for the worst franchise in the world. Right? But does that mean I know less about basketball because I was born in Sacramento and I root for the hometown team?
Sitting over there on his hands, he needs to come.
Like, I'm not the one. If I was the one who traded De'Aaron Fox for Zach LaVine, Ski, you can come at me because that was stupid. But what you can go back and watch the NBA rundown. The day we traded Tyrese Halliburton, and I'm like almost in tears on the air. And nobody, and the people, oh, you're underrating Sabonis. You're underrating Sabonis. I go, yeah, if we're playing DFS.
We talked about
Sabonis is great in daily fantasy sports. How am I going to win with the guy? Yeah. Anyways, good to see you, Ski. Glad to have you on, and we're gonna have to bring you on.
Ski. We're gonna need you on this side of the camera next time, though, buddy.
Yeah, we're gonna need him there. All right, so we've kind of already talked about tonight. It sounds like you're not gonna bet. I'm looking at Pacers first half, and I'm looking at Pacers full game with the points, not on the money line. Ski, I didn't watch your show today, actually, because I think it was on while I was on the other show. I'd be curious to see what you're on if you want to give that out. And yeah, I mean, talking about Chris Webber, I mean, bro, you know how long ago that was?
See, well,
like, bro, like there was barely even an internet back then. Like we were on AOL back then, getting discs. That's how long it's been.
You know what? I've got some late information. So you want to talk about that game a little bit tonight? I'll tell you about. So you're going to take the first half with the Pacers?
I haven't bet it yet. I'm going back and forth, man, because everything I've watched, but I'm just worried that I'm just being recency.
The Thunder haven't covered the game on the road.
What's that one that he says?
He said first quarter, first half. I bet today. Ski, I'm on. You know how I do.
Oh, is that supposed to be a Thunder though? Is that supposed to be for the OKC? I don't know. It looks like a pair of pants.
Oh, he talking about the skinny pants. That's what we call them. We call the OKC the skinny pants team.
Oh, okay.
So he said I was like first quarter, first half. I'm on the Pacers for the game +6 and money line as my free plays. I just saw what I needed to see. So the Thunder have not covered a game on the road this year, and I don't think it's going to change
in the playoffs. In the playoffs, they haven't covered. They're only 4-4 straight up. And they've not been good in the first half either. They actually have a negative net rating, and the Pacers net rating is double digits in the first half. That's another thing that kept me off because, like,
this how they're going to get everybody spread. This is the pump fake they're going to throw. So they got the extender working tonight, as you know.
That's what I was going to say, and that's the final thing. The reason I haven't bet this game, I hate when that guy referees.
They're going to psych people up. It's kind of like how they did when the Patriots ended up losing the Super Bowl to the Eagles. And if you remember in the AFC Championship 2 weeks prior to that, one of the Steelers tight ends caught the ball, scored a touchdown, and they made up some goofy call with the replay and said he didn't have control of the ball to the ground. They come back 2 weeks later.
I can't remember that guy's name.
Yeah, he was good too. And then the Eagles do the same exact thing 2 weeks later, the Super Bowl with Nick Foles, and they call it a touchdown just to get back the belief of society, to have, everyone believing in the product again. And I think that's what's going to happen tonight. It's going to be a lot of bettors that run down there and take OKC because Scott Foster is ref for tonight. I think the Thunder are 6-0 with him as the ref. And they know they're going to extend it, man. I think they make more money if the Pacers and little old me win, this series than if.
So here's the deal, and I hear people saying that. And you know what's funny about this? You know who actually makes more money?
What's that?
The only people that make more money are the TV networks, ESPN, because they've already paid the contract, right? They're paying them $11 billion no matter what. No matter what happens. Every NBA player can retire. They still owe $11 billion. Right. And the referees, because they're paid by the game. Isn't that ridiculous?
Uh-oh.
So the referees actually have financial incentive to extend these series, assuming that they'll get, that they would get assigned, right? But if I'm Foster and I'm assigned to 4, I'm thinking if this goes 7, I can get another fat check. So I hate that too. But the referees just straight up have incentive to extend these series. And these guys in the chat are appreciating us. It's Todd Heath was the man that was called with the penalty on, and great tight end there with Big Ben at QB.
Appreciate you that. Appreciate that, man.
Yeah, we're bringing back all types of history here. Chris Webber, Todd Heath. Where else can you get it besides the wagering world? All right. Anything more on Indiana before we move into the UFL?
No, as I said, I just like everything that Indiana's doing, so I will be rolling with them. You do not know who's going to beat you tonight with the Pacers, but I think that Carlisle is going to have those guys ready, knowing that, hey, if we get this one done, the percentages are on our side. We can wrap this thing up in Game 6 when we come back to Indiana.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's, and I'll tell you what, even if the Pacers win tonight, I don't think the series is over. I do think that, we've given them their praises, but let's talk about Oklahoma City. They won 68 games for a reason. They had a net rating of plus 12.9 or plus 13.2. I can't remember what it is on the top of my head. I thought it was 13.2. Last time I looked it up, it was 12.9. Maybe I remember it wrong, or I just did do numbers last week. So I didn't actually ever input the final number. However, I think if anyone could come back, right? And we did talk about experience, right? But Indiana doesn't have, I know Siakam has them, right? But it's not like they're this grizzled old veteran team, right? That's been through the wars. They got a bunch of young guys out there too.
But now it's about pressure spread, because as the overwhelming favorite, as we saw with Golden State, when they won 70 games or whatever, and then they got behind in the series, all the pressure's on OKC, man. Like Indiana feels like.
But won't the pressure flip to Indiana if they go up 3-1? Because at that point, we'll all just assume that they're the new NBA champions. Then they go to OKC. They lose Game 5, which isn't that crazy for OKC to win Game 5 at home, make it 3-2. A lot of pressure going back to Indiana for Game 6. I'm just saying, I'm not.
Indiana's looser at home. I think they're looser at home just because Halliburton is that type of leader, for one. Like, he's a guy that's going to keep them loose. That guy has ice in his veins, as we've seen the moments that the moment has had. That's his nickname now, is the moment. So during this playoff run, we've seen like this guy's loosey-goosey, man. He has a lot of confidence in himself that other people don't have confidence in, but he has confidence in himself, man. They think he's overrated, and I think he used that to drive him, and he's showing guys what I already knew and what you knew when we were saying on the show, that he shouldn't, the Sacramento should have invested in him instead of De'Aaron Fox. I think that the Pacers are going to be okay. I think that preparation-wise, Carlisle had them ready to play, and I would not be surprised if they win tonight. I think they blow out OKC in Game 6 at home. I think it's not even close. I think it's just a celebration for the Hoosier State. They deserve a championship in that part of the world. I don't think they've won a championship since the ABA in professional sports out there. I know that the Indiana University won a basketball championship, I want to say 89, Keith Smart and Steve Alford and those guys, and that's so long ago. Steve Alford.
Ohio State gives them enough. Aren't they all Ohio State fans out there?
What, in Indiana?
Yeah, I know they're the Hoosiers, but it seems like there's a lot of Buckeyes fans from Indiana.
They love IU, man. I've kicked it out there a little bit. My son's mom, my oldest son's mom, she used to be a flight attendant for a company that was based out there. It's no longer open. It's called ATA, and they were based in Plainsfield, Indiana. Number cornfields when you go out there, man. People were hanging at the Walmart. So it's not much to do in Indiana, but they do love their Pacers. They definitely love their basketball. Wherever you drove, you could see people outside playing basketball.
Yeah, that's for sure. Don't. I got some DMs from some of the guys that watched the NBA rundown from Indiana after I picked the Thunder in 5, and they lost Game 1. They go, "How about your prediction now?" And I go, "Hey, got to give you credit. Great win there for the Pacers." So, yep, that's where we're at on that game. Talk to me about the UFL championship game. The DC Defenders are taking on the Michigan Panthers. They added the dreaded hook. Panthers laying 3.5. Usually 5-star. I haven't watched a lot of UFL, but usually we lay the 3.5. They're trying to get you to take DC. Is that the strategy here?
You're right. You're on it, but I won't be playing aside just because, the Panthers are a very good team, probably the best overall team in the league this year. They unseated Birmingham Stallions, and they did it, I'm talking about, with authority last week, blowing them out. You have the kid Bryce Perkins, who used to be Virginia's quarterback, dual threat guy. He was over there with Sean McVay with the Rams for a while. He's the player of the year, the MVP in the UFL. And, man, he leads the highest scoring offense in the UFL this season. They're the second ranked team in offensive yards. Perkins is so hard to get down on the ground. He reminds me of, rest in peace, Steve McNair back when he was playing with like it's 4 or 5 guys on his shoulders. And he's just throwing them off, man. Still making plays, keeping his head down the field. Really some explosive guys on that offense as well. So I think that the Perkins and those guys put up points, but I wouldn't sleep on Jordan Tiamu either, man. The defenders were second in passing yards this year, and they were first in touchdown passes. So I think with them playing in St. Louis inside the dome on turf, I'm going to go over 50.5 on this game. And you know me, spread. I rarely play totals, but I think that both these teams can get to that number before halftime. I think they're going to leave it all out on the field, and will also benefit from their different rules that they have. That usually ends up where the offense gets the ball on maybe like the 40-yard line. That's about the average starting position for teams in that league. And they have some kickers who can boom it, and they will be playing in St. Louis. So give me the over 50.5. That way I can just sit back, enjoy the championship, and watch some points get put up.
All right. Sounds like a plan. We'll play the over in the UFL championship. And then, remind me during the summer, I want to talk to you about why UFL is not catching on.
I think
for as much as we love NFL, it's wild.
I think it's lasting. I think that it's a bettor's market, kind of like how we're seeing now the growth in tennis is more and more people bet. People who really love betting football, I'm not the only expert. There's a lot of guys who are
No, I've heard people do it, but I'm just saying I never walk around work and I use my warehouse as a little kind of just guide for the general public. Right. And I never hear anybody talking about it.
No, because they probably
unless you bet sports.
And another thing I'm gonna tell you about regular people, they're not maniacs like us, Spread. We watch sports year round, we love it. Guys who have regular lives with a wife, a job, and things like that, they can only stomach football for the time that they have. And the reason why, with the way the NFL and college football is with TV now, it's on every night. So think about it. These guys they're betting every night during the fall. They're watching football all the time, just like how we are, away from the kids, away from the wife, where they're not paying attention to them because they're glued to the TV or their phone watching the score because they're betting. So I think that a lot of those guys can't stomach another, I'm going to bet in the spring as well, because anyone who watches football, they're going to bet. That's pretty much why you're watching it. So I think more of the pro bettors really enjoy it, and I think that'll be able to keep it going because, one, they have a really good TV deal with ESPN and Fox. They want them to work. And then, two, it's some pretty large amounts of wages being made on these games as well. It's some action.
You know what I think they really need? I think they need a quarterback or a running back or a wide receiver to have like an MVP level season in the UFL and then make it in the NFL.
Or they need
I think that would help them a lot.
That would mean something, but also because you got Nakua's two brothers are both play for Michigan. One plays receiver, and then the other one plays defensive back. The defensive back, Kai, is a really good player. He makes some really great plays in the box for them, and also is really good at making offenses turn over the ball. But what I think they need is they're going to need a top guy to come out, just like I kind of remember how the USFL of old when Herschel Walker did it and said, I'm not going to the NFL. I'm going to play for the New Jersey Generals and Donald Trump. They're going to need someone to do that, a big name person come out.
They don't have the money for that, though, do they? Because then they get
probably don't. But I'm saying that's what it's going to take to get the regular public watching it. Besides that, just guys like me who just like betting football, because guys who bet this probably already have an experience betting Canadian football as well, because they just like betting football. I see more advantages personally for me betting football than betting on baseball or, for instance, what else is going on at this time of the year? Basketball, I guess. Yeah, so I don't bet soccer at all. I have never bet a soccer game in my life. I might have bet one soccer game. Sino might have gave me like 3 or 4.
I have. I remember it threw me off when I started 20 years ago because I didn't know how to calculate the tie percentage. I've been betting American sports for a while, right?
With it, man.
And then I'm like, wait, how do I put the draw in here, right? When I'm making my own, right? Because you make your own lines, and then I'm like, I don't know how to make a draw line. Like, this doesn't make sense to me. So
the Supreme Court just cashed a baseball ticket, though, Spread. That's why I'm doing this. You see me turning my head.
Okay.
The Pirates pull it out 2-1 against the Cubs. I was really lucky on that one, and we get it in the extra inning. Should have just bet. Guys, keep an eye on no run first inning. Just, we always give some free game on the Wagering World. It's cashed the last 8 contests in MLB. I think we're getting to that part of years. The break is coming up around the 4th of July. We're getting into the dog days where guys are kind of, tired and just getting to the ballpark and let's just win. We don't care how. They're not coming out too excited in the first inning, man. And if you got a solid pitcher, it's been a really good bet. I haven't betted because I'm scorned from losing a bunch of money in 2018 when a guy hit a home run on like the second pitch against Verlander. I was in the palms. I'll never forget that. I was sick. I had too much money on that, and they lost the first inning, so I don't bet it anymore. But for guys who like it, look towards the first inning. I tend more to do the first 3 innings under 2.5.
All right. Ball and parlay, what's your favorite bet for tonight?
All right, we got to go to the tennis first. Let's do the tennis for tomorrow.
Bro, I'm looking at the tennis right now because I was like, okay, I'm not going to give out the NBA. We already talked about it. They know what we like. You got it.
I'm going to go with some guys. You won't be betting.
Actually, there's not a lot that I like here right now, though. There's one that I'm considering. I'm going to have you give yours out, and then I'll tell you what I'm considering. Go ahead.
Okay, the first I'm going to give out a 2-leg. It's going to be the 2 teenagers battling in the semis of the Grotto 125. You guys know I like to go to those small little
tournaments. Oh, I didn't click that one. Let me look this up.
Yeah, Grotto 125 in Italy on the clay. I'm going with 18-year-old Teresa Valentova. She's facing another teenager, 19-year-old Petra Marcinko. But I'm going to put that minus 280 on Valentova with the veteran Alina Gabrielle Roos at minus 170. She's going to face back crazy Italian Elizabeth Cortaretto. She's crazy as hell. So she's at minus 170 facing her. And they're playing on grass in the Netherlands at Hertogenbosch. So give me Valentova minus 280 times Roos at minus 170. That's a 2-team of guys that'll pay you at plus 116. Remember, those tournaments are a little bit smaller. It's at Grotto to find Valentova, and you have to go to, it's probably going to say on your book, Hertogenbosch. That's HERTOGENBOSCHE, and find Roos at minus 170. Put those two together at plus 116. And also, I'm going to play the Montreal Alouettes tonight at minus 3 first half. Ottawa lost its quarterback, Drew Brown. A lot of people said that he was going to be the MVP for them. They got a backup in Matt Shields, who is not good. I've seen him play before for Hamilton. He's not good. We're going with Montreal's quarterback, Davis Alexander. He's 5-0 as a starter. He was the backup forever. This year they gave him the reins. He's done really well. Montreal has murdered Ottawa. They've won the past 8 meetings. 6 of those have been by a margin of 7+ points. And also the Alouettes have now 10 straight victories in Ottawa. So I don't think that changes tonight. I think they're going to get on them early because they have a really explosive offense. Give me Montreal Alouettes first half minus 3.
All right, my official play. I'll take Indiana Pacers first half plus 4. But what do you think of Alexandrova laying 2.5 against Elise Mertens on grass?
On grass, I would just take her, right? I would take her money line. It's only
maybe I'll just put it with the one that you gave out.
Put it with Valentova. I love Valentova. Valentova's a big striker. She's one of those girls that's going to make some noise in the next couple of years when she gets in her 20s, if she can keep her head right, because she has a really aggressive style of playing and a lot of passion. She made some noise in the French Open.
All right. That's what you got for us. Any final words for the people?
Hey, man, always glad to have you guys in. If you have not, go to the Wagering World right now on YouTube. Subscribe. We're trying to get those subscriptions and those likes up because we do this for free. So we're hoping one day we can make YouTube pay us a little something. Ain't that right, Spread?
That's right. We got to get that soon.
Yeah, let's do it, man. And, hey, guys, we always do this for, my father, man. He's the greatest Houston sports fan that I know, and that's John H. Lindsay. As always, I dedicate this show to him. Guys, best of luck on all your plays. It's us versus the machine always. This is the Wagering World. Go like this show, man.